Welcome to Book World of Great Escape. I'm author CJ Peterson. My co-star here is author Michael Scott Clifton. Today we have special guest down here, Delia Latham. Hey, Delia.
Hi.
Welcome. Before we get started, Mike, how was your week?
We had a great weekend, 2 weekends in a row that we have been at some pretty big Comic Cons, and Melanie and I were a little bit tired coming back this time. We were in Tulsa for the Oklahoma Comic Con Saturday and Sunday, and had a great crowd there. And it was nice because we've been there. This is our second year, and we have hot dry temperatures here in Texas, and the 2 days they were there at the Comic Con in Tulsa, it sprinkled and rained a little bit, and temperatures did not get out of the 70s in the highs. So we really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's a guy was kind of cool. Thanks for coming up here and bringing the cool weather with you.
I mean, 2 years in a row it's happened. So it's like, I mean, what are the odds? But it was great, and we really enjoyed it. And the as people who listen to the program may or may not know, I'm on the Chapel Hill School Board, and today is our first day of school. So I was at the kindergarten, and I was greeting kids and their parents as many of them in kindergarten. This is their first year to start public
They're
school.
so cute when
Yes,
they're
it
so
was.
little.
And most of the kids were excited, and some of the parents when they were leaving got a little misty eyed because their little babies are starting their first year of public school. So I really enjoy that part of being a school board member, being able to and dating myself a little bit, but I was at Chapel for many years, Chapel Hill for many years, and some of the parents coming in, I had some of their parents were grandparents were kids that I taught and who are now parents. So they're like third generation kids that some way I've had affiliation with over the last 30 to 40 years at Chapel Hill. So kind of dating myself there, but I guess that's something I'm a little bit proud of, being able to associate with the school district for those years and the education of so many great kids. And anyway, we are recovering this week after 2 weeks of Comic Cons, Melly and I, so we are taking it as easy as we can.
There you go. Well, it sounds like fun. This week we're on the road. So you've been on the last 2 weeks. We're on for this week. We're heading down to actually your neck of the woods.
Love
We're currently, as I said, you brought the nice cool weather up because I'm currently in Oklahoma City. So we're a couple hours difference from Tulsa, but just enough that we couldn't come see you, unfortunately, this weekend. So we're heading down to Lufkin, Texas for the Piney Woods Comic Con. We'll have guests like Carla Perez, who was Ruby Repulsa from Power Rangers, Kevin Sorbo. Many of you guys know who he is. No introduction there. Peter Kalamis is a voice actor, Kelly Baskin, Amanda Hufford, Lizzie Freeman. And I know they just announced the animator for Animaniacs, Greg Peters. So today, so he'll be there too. So super excited. So, and those who follow my other podcast, Magic Making Mischief, we're going to have a Magic Making Mischief meetup. So on Saturday, those come represent your Hogwarts house. I'll be there representing Ravenclaw. And I know that Mombi will be representing Slytherin. So we need Hufflepuff, and we know that we need a Gryffindor. So make sure to come represent your Hogwarts house. So lots of fun will be had. And I know that Kevin Sorbo is doing his VIP stuff again this year. So I don't know if those are sold out or not, but if not, check it out because it's a really cool experience. I love doing that. This I think is my 5th con with him, and we always get to enjoy that. That's a fun time because he does one of his episodes from Hercules, and it's really cool watching something with somebody who was in it, and they talk kind of like behind the scenes type stuff, and it's just a neat experience. And then you get pictures with him afterwards, and it's not one of those where it's just like quick, get your picture taken and you're gone. He actually takes time with each person, and he does like a question and answer session. So it's really a nice time, and you get to know him. He's a cool guy. So
Right.
definitely totally recommend it. If you need more to know more about it, it's pineywoodcomiccon.com. That's PineyWoodsComiccon.com. and it'll be at the Pittsburgh Garrison Convention Center this weekend. Don't miss it if you're in the Lufkin area. It will be tons of fun. I know we're kind of going against GeekCon, but if you want something that's actually affordable for your family, come on down, have fun, enjoy. Okay, so we have Miss Delia Latham. Hello, ma'am.
Hi. Hi.
So we'll be talking inspirational romance and women's fiction. So for those who aren't totally and completely familiar with that, could you explain what that is?
Well, inspirational romance is romance, but with a Christian worldview, and always clean and behind closed doors if there's anything going on, of course. um, Women's fiction is normally will have a romance included, but it is not the primary theme in the story. It will be a secondary story, and then there will be something more, something a little deeper, more more meat to it on the top.
So basically, like a female is like the main character type thing in all of them.
Almost always.
So just the genre itself changes, but it's just women's fiction with the genre.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes there will be a male lead, but most of the time, yes, it is a woman.
Very cool. Nice. So what got you into that? What made you choose those?
I think they chose me. Part of it is just that I grew up as just an avid reader, and I would go walk. I had to walk about, close to a mile to get to a library, but I would get as many books as I thought I could carry home in a bag and not be dying by the time I got there. And so I was always reading romance, and it was always inspirational romance because that's all my dad would allow. So I read a lot of like Grace Livingston Hill and wow, I can't even think of names now. Jeanette Oak. I read whatever that I could read that I knew would be clean and would be allowed. So I fell in love with Grace Livingston Hill, and because I loved to write as well, as I was going through high school, I was fortunate enough to have someone who kind of steered me and, convinced me that I could do that too, So I still see little flavors, little shadows of Grace Livingston Hill in my writing. So.
Wow. Well, we were visiting a little bit earlier, and you have, from what we understand, you have quite an extensive collection, over 30 books published so far.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Are they standalones? Are they series?
Some are standalone, but I wrote 2 standalones, and then I got into the series. I wrote one series, and it was picked up by a publisher. And so I immediately after wrote another series. It kind of has happened that I've written more series than standalones, but a lot of the series actually have, each of the books is a standalone. They have a central theme, but they're standalone. So I kind of like it that way.
Very cool. So did you do something in the quote unquote real world outside of writing?
I did, yes. I started working as a reporter at what was at that time the largest daily newspaper in Kern County in California, and
cool.
learned a whole lot about writing and writing tight in that job. And I've always done something to do with journalism. I moved from that and was kind of freelancing to them and to a regional magazine that we had. So just kind of always been in the writing world, but in different little bedrooms of it.
Oh.
Very cool. So is there like one character that has stood out to you in all of your books?
Yes. I want to say my first book. It was the book of my heart, but it didn't get published first for reasons that will take too long to explain. But there were 2 main characters, and they were twins in that one. And the book started in 1936, part 1, part 2 was in 1959. So I had the girls when they were born, and then later in life. So they were just, their situation was very unique as far as all of my books go. So and then it was set partially in a little town that I grew up in California, and it wasn't really a town; it was a community called Weedy Patch. So,
I'm sure
so
you
that
Very
was kind
cool.
of fun.
I'm sure you've been asked this before, as a writer with over 30 books, but what inspired you in terms of the characters? Did you have some sort of influence that inspired you in terms of the characters that you portrayed in your books?
Probably once.
Or how did you develop your characters? I guess is what I would say.
Okay, I think probably the inspiration is once again Grace Livingston Hill.
Yeah.
I didn't follow her exact footsteps, which in hers it always seemed like it was either someone very poor or very rich who had lessons to learn along the way, and found someone that was opposite. But the probably their relationship with Christ was what I followed her on, and the fact that they were humble and not full of themselves kind of people. So in today's world, it's a little harder to find people like that. So I hope my characters don't come across as unreal because of that.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, and I find character inspiration in people that I meet, and other characters that I see on television or whatever. I'm thinking, oh, if they were this much different, if I could have that character but with these traits, it's I find inspiration everywhere, just everywhere.
Yeah, sometimes I put those memes up on my Facebook warning, you could be in a story. So it's always just like, but
Absolutely.
then there are some friends of mine where I've said, "Hey, I'm gonna turn you into a character in a story." And most of them are pretty okay with it, but some of them who have read the books and who know the books, some of them will say, "Okay, but you can't kill me," because I'm kind of known as the literary assassin.
Then
So some
don't
of them,
offend me.
some of them are like, "Okay, but you can't kill me," and some of them are like, "Okay, as long as the killing is grand, I'm okay with it." I'm like, "Okay, cool, I can handle that." So,
Yeah.
Wow.
but it's always fun if you can find those unique people, because that's the thing I love about people. Some of them are unique, and some of them they're eclectic enough that you have to, you just kind of have to, because it's
All
just like
right.
you can't not. It's like, dude, I need to put you in a book.
Absolutely. Gotta have you.
Mhm.
If a new reader, who has never read any of your books, is interested in the books that you've written, what would you recommend that they would start with? Because again, you have 30 books. What would you recommend for them to
It would
start?
always be Golden Eyes, which was the book I was telling you about. That's always what I asked them to start with. It is different from any of my other books, but still me.
Mhm.
It still has my voice, but it's because it's women's fiction, and the majority of the rest of mine are strictly romance. That one stands out in my mind. Well, that one, and then both my first and second books had underlying themes as well. So they were both were women's fiction. Yesterday Again and Golden Eyes would be what I would recommend.
We have a viewer on YouTube who says hi, Ariana Grande fan page and more. So I wanted to say hi to her.
I'm
So hi,
sorry.
thanks for watching. We had a viewer that said hi
Oh, hi.
on YouTube, so I want to make sure to say hi to her real quick. I didn't want to cut you off, but
I know.
so when you're writing, I know sometimes we have like certain things we do. Like for me, there's like a playlist that I have to play. Part of it is because I'm ADD and OCD, so I have to like tune the world out. Do you have like a certain ritual that you do, or a certain place that you have to write?
I prefer to work in my office and just
Mhm.
have a little corner, whether my office it happens to be a corner of the living room, where right now it is because my grandson is living with us for a little while and my desk is in there. So, but I have a little corner of the living room that is where I write, and I
Mhm.
need to be there. I need to either be right there or sitting here and pretending I'm at my desk. So And I need quiet. I have never been able to write with music going.
Uh,
So,
That
and
must be the ADD in me then.
I'm so jealous of people who can do that because I love music, but I'm very one track minded. And I will either be able to listen to the music or write. And I need to be able to know that I'm going to be able to write. So the music has to go by while I'm writing.
Well, some people read it and they're like, I can tell because it sets the pace for the book.
That
It
makes
almost paces the book is by the playlist and by the
I
songs.
think that makes sense.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Now, Dela, we've known each other now, I think, since before pre-COVID. We were talking earlier before Book World start, and we decided I think we'd met at a Netwell meeting, Northeast Texas Writers Organization meeting.
That is
Might have been in Mount Vernon. I don't remember. But one of the things that I do remember is that you're not just an accomplished author, but you're also um, extremely well versed in the art of writing. And so, and CJ will ask you a question she always asks at the end of the show today. But I would like to ask you, what advice would you give to particularly beginning authors on pitfalls to avoid if they pick up the writing bug and want to publish a novel?
I think that for me it was all of the rules. There are so many rules
Mm.
that you can get totally knotted up in and think, forget it, I will never be able to do all of that. And just write.
Mhm.
For at least for your first draft, just write. That the important thing I think for any new writer is write. I mean, writers write. So you find a way to do that. Forget the rules, forget how somebody else said you should do it, and just do it. Do it your way. And then you can work on changing it if it needs changed.
One question I do also ask a lot of authors are you a planner? Are you a pantser? Are you somewhat of a hybrid of both? And describe what the hybrid is.
I would say that at heart, I'm a pantser.
Hmm.
I've always been. But when to be accepted by a publishing house, you have to submit a synopsis. So
Mhm.
when I did that, I figured out that, okay, so it's going to change. This, whatever I turn into her, that this is what the book's going to be about. It's not going to follow that exactly, that plan, but it helped me to be able to have that little bit of an idea of what was going to happen in the book. Normally, I just sit down and write. I mean,
Hmm.
no plan, no idea what. I mean, maybe a shadow of an idea of what the book is going to be at its core, but no real planning. But having just that one page synopsis, that's not a lot of
Mhm.
planning, but to have that kind of general idea does help. So I do it when I can or when I think of it. And otherwise, I just go with it.
Go
Um,
with the
The
flow.
rebel in me would still write the book first and then send him the one-page synopsis.
I really don't like having to, being said, told you have to do this because
Mhm.
for some people that really just bogs them down. They just can't get past. I can't write a synopsis, so I can't go to a publisher. Well, yes, you can, and if you can't, then self-publish. So because I have both, so I guess you would call me a hybrid.
Mhm.
Um,
One page isn't that bad though. If you're just
it isn't.
getting a basic streamline idea, that's not too
It,
bad.
that's basically what I did too on all of the books that I had to send synopses in for because it had to be just very basic because I didn't know. I did
Right.
not know where the book was going. I don't plan them out, so I just
Yeah.
had to kind of give her an idea of what my idea was and hope that she would.
Even a pantser even a pantser, even um, pantsers with a capital P, have a general idea of their story.
Mhm.
They had
Otherwise, they wouldn't
Uh,
have the book in mind,
yeah.
so to speak. You
Yeah,
know.
like that song thing usually triggers some sort of a scene.
okay,
And that's kind of what I build the story around is that scene.
yeah,
So it's like that is then added to my playlist. So it's like for me, it's whatever that scene is that I'm trying to get to, that
Gotcha.
that song has triggered. And
That's good.
so that's basically it. Otherwise, I have no idea what the book is when I start it, how it's going to start, how it's going to end, and who is even in. I know who the main character is, and that's it.
That's it. But that's about it.
That's it.
When I wrote yesterday again, I knew that I was taking a break from Golden Eyes because I had hit like a block. And someone said to me, well, if you just lay Golden Eyes aside and write something else, and that will loose your activity on the other one. It really did. But I sat down to yesterday again with absolutely zero idea, zero of what I was going to write. And I sat down and you're mentioning music. So I wasn't listening to music, but I'm a big country music fan. So in my mind, I'm hearing Ronnie Mills. And I wrote, it was almost like a song.
Oh boy.
And the book came from that first line. So
yeah, like people who know me and know that that's how I do it, they can actually usually tell me what the song is
that you were listening to. That's
yeah,
cool.
they can usually tell me either, or they'll try to guess it, and I can tell them whether it's yes or no. And
That's fun. That's a fun thing to do.
Yeah. So some of them who know that that's what I do, they'll try to guess, and
I love it.
they're about 80% usually hit it. Certain ones, so
they know you well enough, huh?
Yeah.
If they know me well enough, they're about 80% on. If they don't, they're usually about 30 to 40%.
Well, Delia, what
you say, I'll answer to.
Like the dealing of the card.
Yeah, I'm sure that never happens, right? But for people who love your books, who've read the previous books that you've written, I'm sure you're writing a latest book. Can you give them a hint on what projects are ahead for you?
Yes, I had been involved. I don't know if some people know about my Potter's House books. I was involved with the Potter's House project, and I wrote 2. I had agreed to write 3 books for the Potter's House thing. And that's when COVID hit on my 3rd book. And I got really, really sick. And I was not diagnosed with COVID. I didn't go in, but I just kind of know that's what it was. I just couldn't do anything. And so I had to excuse myself from the project. And I was like 5,000 words away from finishing the novel.
Oh, wow.
So I'm hoping to get that one finished and out there before I do anything else. I've been very busy because I reclaimed the rights for a whole lot of my books from my publisher, and no hard feelings, no anything. I just, I pulled them back because I decided I kind of wanted to start self-publishing things. So I have been really busy putting out what I'm calling rebooks, because it's just the second version of a book that was already published. But now I think I want to just take time and finish that 3rd book so I can get it out there. And I also did write. I mean, it wasn't just doing rebooks. I did a couple of co-written books with my friend L.H. Ray. And those were fun. A couple of little novellas that were, based on a central theme. And that was kind of fun co-writing as well. So
that to me would be difficult as a pantser. How is that as a pantser co-writing with someone?
She's a pantser as well, pretty much. So,
oh, wow.
So it actually has really helped. We use the Google Docs because we're not together every time that we write. So we're able to, one of us will write. What we did was one of us took the male lead and one took the female lead. And so when we'd write a chapter or a scene, then we would, after it was written, get together on Google Docs and edit it kind of together. And so we could comment and say, well, this works or this doesn't work because, and because there were 2 of us working the ideas, it really, believe it or not, just came together very, very well. We were able to meld it. I'm very pleased with the finished products. And it was the little, the series is called Whispering Willow. because it's based kind of around a willow tree that's on a certain property. So we came up with willow tree hearts,
Mhm.
and the last one, which just released not very long ago, is butterfly hearts.
Hmm.
Okay.
So that was a lot of fun, and I always enjoy. I had co-written with someone else before on another book, so co-writing was not new to me, and I
All
like
right.
fun.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we have about 3, 4 minutes left. So I have a quick question for you. It's kind of a two-parter. For
Okay.
somebody who's interested in writing inspirational romance, do you have any advice? And for somebody who's interested in writing just general women's fiction, do you have any advice?
For me, there's really not a big difference. The thing is writing,
Hmm.
whether it's women's fiction or inspirational fiction or science fiction. you know, you just need to decide what you're going to write,
Hmm.
and then write it. And I think that's the main thing. I used to tell people write every day, and I still think for me it's important to write something every day. But as I've gotten older, I've learned that I can't always do that. I don't physically, I can't always do that. So if I can't actually put my fingers to the keyboard and write, then I'm writing in my mind, and which
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
find myself doing that all the time.
Yeah.
And I think the main thing is just to make up your mind, be willing to call yourself a writer.
Hmm.
And as a writer, you have to write. So I think that the most important thing is getting over that hurdle of saying, it's hard to say I'm a writer to some people. So I think overcoming that reluctance and being willing to do the things that make you a writer after you've committed to it, that's what's important.
Well, that's
Well,
good.
once you put pen to paper, you're a writer.
Absolutely. I agree.
It's
You're
once
just
you
not an author
publish,
until
you're
you
an author. Hmm.
absolutely 100% agree.
So one way or the other, keep forward momentum going as a writer, either in your mind or physically writing on paper. Yeah.
Hmm. Now,
Um,
whether you're published or not, it's the difference between being an author. But once you put pen to paper, you're a writer.
That's right. That's true.
right.
So you kind of can't get around that. Well, Delia, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
For
Thank
those who want to learn more about Delia and her books, make sure to check out her website, and also her social media links are on there. So thank you for having those on there. They're easy to find. So that's not always a thing. So thank you
you.
for having those.
Fine.
You can find them on our website at delialatham.com. That's DELIALATHAM.com. So make sure to check those out. Again, her social media links are up there, pretty easy to find. And if you are going to do any appearances, those will be on there, correct?
Yes, they will.
Okay,
There,
awesome.
there will be a page for that.
Okay, very cool. Check out her books as well. And as she said, it's Golden Eyes is the one that you recommend to start with.
Golden Eyes and Yesterday Again.
And Yesterday Again are the two. If you haven't started any of her books, those are the ones that she recommends. She has over 30, so make sure to check them out. I'm sure you can find them. As she said, she is republishing some of her older ones too, and she's working on some newer ones somewhere at some point, going to be coming out soon. So make sure to check them out. Next week we're going to be talking book covers. A lot of you guys know that I do my own book covers, so we'll be talking on how to do those, what to look for, and kind of the ins and outs of book covers. It's going to obviously be the shortened version of them, but it'll give you a general idea. So make sure to check that out August 21st at 4 o'clock, same time, same station. Make sure to come to, if you're in the Lufkin, Texas area for this weekend on the 17th and 18th of August, Pittsburgh Convention Center in Lufkin. Come have fun at the Comic Con. See you guys then. Bye.